It's been a huge week for cryptocurrency in Australia, with Blockchain Week taking off at the beginning of the week. So we have a lot of news to update in regards to cryptocurrency regulations in Australia, cryptocurrency and taxation in Australia, all of the fun things, and also seeing how this is going to affect us now and into the future. We have some dates to go through, so make sure you have liked and subscribed to the channel so you can get your fix of cryptocurrency and the updates in what cryptocurrency is doing in Australia. All right, let's kick it off. Now, because this video is Australia focused, I am giving you the Aussie price for Bitcoin, the first time here on the channel. 56,500 Aussie dollars for one BTC, and for the rest of the top 10, Ethereum nearly at 4,000 Aussie bucks. The Aussie favorite Cardano at $1.31. And of course, the one that everyone loves to gamble on, Dogecoin at 16.5 cents. My favorite, Polkadot, sitting down here at $26.90. And just for laughs, US dollar Tether is at $1.34 Australian. Speaking of which, just taking a quick look at the Aussie dollar against the USD, we have started to gain some strength. At one point, one US dollar was buying $1.40 Aussie, and now we've back down to $1.34. So that means that the Aussie dollar is now at 74.5 US cents. So we're starting to see some strength back into the Aussie dollar. There's no surprises that in 2022, the markets have been much quieter than they were in 2021. We've seen a lot of retail basically leave the market and not looking to come back in cryptocurrency for some period of time. But even the largest banks and super funds and financial institutions in Australia say consumer interest in the burgeoning crypto asset class has continued to surge despite falls in Bitcoin and Ethereum prices, obviously during the recent market shocks and lack of regulatory certainty for the sector. And of course, we have the federal election coming up in a couple of months, and Blockchain Week this week was some time for the senators to jump on board of the crypto bandwagon while it's still hot in the media and give their 2 cents of how this is going to look in Australia over the coming years. As always, the government had a lot to say about crypto and regulations. I have a solicitor coming on the channel, so stick around for that in this video. But first, one of the things they are looking to introduce is an exchange badge of approval. So regulating trust between crypto investors and exchange is one of the main things that the government is trying to do. Minister for Digital Economy Jane Hume has announced the Australian government will let Australians invest in crypto assets safely and securely. They'll let Australians invest by establishing a market license regime for crypto exchanges. So it seems like some people don't trust exchanges, and she said the Morrison government wants to make sure that consumers can trust the exchange that they use to buy crypto. Speaking of trusted crypto exchanges in Australia, check out SwiftX. The link is in the description. They are a sponsor of the channel. You can get $10 of free Bitcoin when you sign up using the link in the description down below. You can also stake your cryptocurrencies on the SwiftX platform and obviously use their mobile app as well. Now, I dare say that SwiftX is going to have some say in this sort of regulation that's coming through, so they'll want to be on the good side of the government as well, as the government will be asking for industry leaders around how to regulate the industry. One of the things that Aussies love is ticks and marks on packaging or products that they're using, and so they're coming up with this other idea of a stamp of quality. This will be a uniquely Australian stamp of quality, the healthy heart tick of approval for your crypto exchanges. Now, my opinion on the matter is that I'd still be open to using decentralized exchanges and getting all degenerate in other spaces of cryptocurrency. I mean, that's what it's there for if you're looking to make the bigger bucks. Once the regulations come in and the government gets their hands on whatever else is going on, then that can affect what you are looking to invest in, because then the regulations come in and you basically are stuck doing what the government says. So it's just something to keep in mind as more of these safety and trust issues are looked at by the government. We have a plan to ensure that crypto investors who hold crypto on an exchange can always access their money by introducing custody requirements for crypto assets. Following on from the Australian Cryptocurrency Exchange Badge of Approval, Australia seeks licensing of crypto exchanges via Digital Services Act. The proposed legislation is a consolidation of reforms set forth in a final report from a Senate committee in December. The Australian government has announced its Digital Services Act, which seeks to regulate the budding crypto industry. I know at times that this can sound like a whole lot of words, so what are they actually trying to do here and why? Australia is pushing ahead with its plans to regulate the digital assets and is seeking industry feedback on measures that focus on custody, DAOs, which is an important one to take note of here, taxation, of course, they want to put their hand out for more money, licensing, and issues of industry debanking via the government's Digital Services Act. So this sounds like it's starting to get way too complicated at this point, and they're just going to start doing what governments do, making things a little bit of a pain in the ass. However, Australian Liberal Party Senator Andrew Bragg said the Digital Services Act would provide greater regulatory oversight while dissuading businesses from exploring their options overseas. So although we are getting a little bit more complicated with what they're trying to do here, they are trying to clean it up, which we'll get to in a second. And of course, if they don't clean up the act and if they don't make things easy, including taxation and regulations, then as Australia does, they will lose out to technology yet again, and it heads offshore somewhere else to another jurisdiction, which makes life easier. So to do this would make Australia one of the only jurisdictions confronting this issue head on, signaling that we will fully appreciate the promise and potential of blockchain technology. So this is starting to sound a little more promising that they can, that they want to bring industry here, and also be a space for cryptocurrency so that we can explore a new industry rather than just being a country of mining and banking only, traditional banking. Its review, which is expected to be concluded no later than December 31st, is being conducted on the basis it would not increase the overall tax burden for investors, the government said. So let's see if they stick to that promise. Of course, it's government. So this is the important part here about DAOs. DAOs are an existential threat to the tax base. They must be recognized and regulated as a matter of urgency. So let's pay particular attention to what the government here in Australia will do in regards to DAOs. This is important. This is a matter of urgency because given that DAOs are recognized as partnerships and not companies, they are not liable to pay company tax. That's a good sign so far for DAOs, but of course, government wants to put their hand out for more tax money. Now, it might sound like I'm completely against tax. My personal opinion, not from the government, not to be taxed on productivity. Us, you, watching here as well, and people making gains and profits that are improving society. What I do think things can be taxed on is land, the land of Australia. That is where the value is rising. And by taxing the land more than what it currently is taxed, that can go towards the government revenue and it doesn't affect the people themselves. Of course, the landowners aren't going to be too happy, but if we want to distribute that wealth again, I think it's going to come from the land. The land is something that will not move. It's in Australia and stays in Australia. So that's something that they can tax rather than going through the ins and outs of regulation, which can then be pushed offshore if the regulations aren't as good as another country, make the country even better and obviously tax the land. Now, I've talked about this before with Phil Anderson on the channel. I'll leave a link to that interview at the end of this video, so stick around for that. I know talking about taxes can be quite controversial, so let's push ahead. FTX launches crypto exchange service in Australia. FTX Australia will offer crypto derivatives as well as typical spot market offerings. The local firm will be headquartered in Sydney and follows other major exchanges, having already established a foothold on the island nation. I love it when they call it the island nation. More promising words for technology in Australia. Australia backs the crypto revolution against big tech. The federal government will consider new legislation to help Australia play its part in the emergence of Web3, a new form of the internet that underpins cryptocurrency and digital assets. Treasury sees it as a source of new jobs and tax revenue for the economy. Here they go again. The new Digital Services Act would protect consumers, but also wholeheartedly and comprehensively grasp an opportunity for Australia and signal that we will fully appreciate the promise and potential of blockchain technology. So basically, this has been repeated in multiple articles. It is a few comments mentioned from Senator Andrew Bragg. And we also have the tax to talk about. So there are two main issues here, and I'll pass over to Krish Gosai, a solicitor at one of the institutional cryptocurrency exchanges. It does over $100 million a day in crypto assets here on the Gold Coast. Krish Gosai is a friend of mine from the gym, but it's a small word here on the Gold Coast, and he works for one of the biggest exchanges here. So here's a snippet of what Krish had to say about the rules and tax that's coming through in Australia from the recent meetings at the Blockchain Week this week.
So it's a pretty exciting time for cryptocurrency in Australia, with the government finally shedding some light on their cryptocurrency roadmap and plans to make Australia a cryptocurrency hub. On Monday, Senator Andrew Bragg highlighted two key points. First, the regulations applying to cryptocurrencies, and secondly, tax. The government then released a crypto consultation paper seeking industry feedback on crypto and crypto businesses. It included a proposal that all crypto assets could become financial products and therefore falling within the existing financial product regime. What this then means is that all crypto businesses would then require a financial services license to be able to operate in Australia. On the issue of tax, the government acknowledged that the current tax system was not fit for purpose. It provided terms of references to the Board of Taxation to conduct an inquiry into crypto assets and their tax nature. What they aim to achieve is to clarify the tax status of ICOs, play-to-earn games, airdrops, staking, stablecoins, and central bank digital currencies. This follows the Senate Committee's recommendations last year that the CGT rules should be amended for cryptocurrencies. It's important to note that it is still pretty early days in relation to what the government might and might not do with these regulations and with tax.
Thanks to Krish for that update, and I'll get Krish back on the channel with more updates around taxation, regulations of crypto and the industry here in Australia. You can find his links in the description. And finally, to the tax cuts that could turn Australia into a crypto hub. Now, this is straight from the Senator's mouth. Senator Andrew Bragg said he didn't want to see Australia miss its chance to become a blockchain hub. There's been a strong agreement about the need to address proper law design. We should have a very simple, clear, and clean Digital Services Act. Now, Bragg said this in relation to Australia not missing its opportunity to be a cryptocurrency hub. So they are pushing towards this hub. I hope they get it right. They get the taxation just nice, clean, simple, and low for people to build digital products here. And Bragg said that rather than trying to tweak the already complex Corporations Act, as I said earlier, we should have a very simple, clear, and clean Digital Services Act. So this is quite positive to hear. Bragg also said that DAOs, which some people believe could replace corporations, should also be examined as part of the cryptocurrency regulatory regime. Since they're taxed as partnerships rather than companies, he warned that the rise of DAOs could result in mass tax leakage. Wouldn't that be interesting? He also said, unless you are competitive on taxation, you cannot be a serious hub. I honestly hope they do stick to this. People like me will have to make the case in the public square that a tax cut in this space is needed. He continued, because he wants Australia to be viewed as a jurisdiction that people want their businesses in, because our tax system is clear and clean, just as our regulation is clear and clean. We shouldn't be afraid to look at tax havens as inspiration for regulation. That is music to my ears. However, they are ruling out advocating Australia to join jurisdictions like the Isle of Man or Bermuda, the countries that are in the Caribbean, as tax havens. It would be lovely, but at least we're somewhat getting there with digital assets. We shouldn't be afraid to look at tax havens for inspiration for regulations. Love to hear what you have to say about these conditions here in Australia and the progressing space that we're seeing in regards to government and how they are looking to regulate cryptocurrencies. Let me know, am I getting way too positive about this potentially turning into the next St. Kitts and Nevis? Let me know in the comments down below. You can find all of the links to SwiftX and other great Aussie companies down there. And of course, our free newsletter. Thank you so much to Krish and his update around the laws. Links are in the description. Like, subscribe. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.